As creatives, we can forget that while our voice is our own, it's also inspired by many voices that came before us. Today, I want to talk about the movies that changed my life. An era of movies that impacted me from a young age is the adventure movies. I will never forget staying up late with Dad, which at the time was like 10 p.m., and watching the Indiana Jones movies, rewinding the VHS. We watched it on an old box television set that was propped up on our kitchen table. The adventure that I was thrown into, I was locked in, immersed in this world of horse riding and tank infiltration and country to country treasure. Not long after the movies ended, I found myself recreating scenes that I had watched unfold with Lego Indiana Jones sets, action figures running along the backyard, and soon creating my own stories. There was nothing like watching Star Wars for the first time and discovering each planet and who might be there and what it might mean for our heroes. I'll never forget watching Lord of the Rings for the first time with my friends, staying up late, which then meant 3, 4 in the morning. The world that I didn't know existed, that when I was introduced to it, I knew that I needed. It just made sense. The conflicts, though so otherworldly, also so human. I felt like I was placed back into the world I was in with a fresh vigor, confidence, inspiration. That's a priceless gift. These movies really truly changed my life. Being introduced to a whole new world, Disney and Pixar did this so well with The Incredibles and Finding Nemo and WALL-E. Soon I discovered quick, witty dialogue, and then action wasn't the only thing that could help a scene move quickly.
We're not dating anymore, I'm sorry.
Is this a joke?
Sorkin's The Social Network, and the way that he used dialogue in order to show a character's upper hand, it was so quick and it kept me immersed. So much tension that he was controlling from scene to scene, and I was blown away by it. Anderson showed me the beauty in just saying something for what it was and how undeniably raw and real that can be.
You're supposed to be my lab partner.
I am.
No, you're not. You're disloyal.
And I think Sorkin showed me the beauty in having characters sort of talk past each other and how true to life that can be as well. Then being introduced to Edgar Wright, specifically through Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, he used both of these kinds of dialogue, not to mention the immersive, incredibly creative shot transitions and how he just keeps you moving. And out of all of those adventure movies, there was one that introduced me to a category of film I didn't know I needed. Inception, while also being a grand adventure, is a heck of a mind-bender and set me on a rabbit trail of mind-bending movies, psychological thrillers. Of course, it started with Christopher Nolan from Inception. I went to The Prestige, which absolutely blew my mind. Interstellar, Memento, all of his films, flipped everything I thought I knew about the story on its head, and I just thought that was brilliant. I was thinking about his movies weeks and months after watching them, and rewatching them brought a particular new layer of value. You're watching it with your friends and you're like, they don't even know what this actually means. You're watching it in a new light. Oh my gosh. So when Christian Bale, it's because I got to discover M. Night Shyamalan back when it felt like he had more good movies than bad. Back when it felt like a shocking plot twist was earned and not some cheap cop-out like, oh, another one where they're dead the whole time, another one where they're just asleep. It felt so sweet to be watching a movie that you thought you knew exactly where it was headed, and then all of a sudden flipped on its head with most of the same pieces, creating this entirely different shape that you didn't realize was forming the whole time. This next era we can call heavy but honest. At the end of La La Land, when the couple doesn't end up together, it's like a light bulb went off in my head. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Art is honest, even when it's hard to hear, even when it's heavy. And then Damien Chazelle's previous movie Whiplash really resonated with me. Just the way that he handled that, it didn't feel like it ended the way it was supposed to. No, he's supposed to learn a different lesson, right? It just struck me as really honest. Marriage Story, the way that they handled this couple drifting apart. Manchester by the Sea, the way that they handled loss and trauma. Ghost Story, the way that they handled this idea of moving on and others moving on without you. None of these movies necessarily had that perfect bow tie ending, and yet something in them resonated with me deeply. And there was a time where it seemed like I was only watching these kinds of movies. After the Bleak era, I had a newfound appreciation for The happy ending. Peanut Butter Falcon left a huge mark on me the first time that I saw it. It was so feel good in every way, tying up every loose end, bringing characters together, giving characters what they wanted. It all felt so earned, and I remember crying watching Coda on an airplane, being like, this is the kind of movie that I want to make. This is good, this is real, this is raw. I am glad that the characters got the ending that they got. And that's a freaking movie. So all of these eras, the adventure era, the quick, witty dialogue, the plot twist, mind-bending era, dark, morose, real art tells the truth, even if it's hard, plus the earned, quote-unquote, happy ending. All of these movies, probably in more ways than I realize, impact the way I tell stories, impact the way that I want to make movies. And I hope that one day some of my movies inspire someone on the other end of their phone to hit record and say, I'm gonna make something.